बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम अस्सलाम वालेकुम। कैसे हैं आप? दिस इज़ लेक्चर नंबर 14। लेट्स स्टार्ट। So first we take review of previous lecture. In last lecture we discussed concept of measures of dispersion, and in particular we discussed few measures of dispersion including range, coefficient of range, semi-interquartile range, which is also called quartile deviation, and then we discussed mean deviation or the average deviation. So let us discuss the objectives of the current lecture. In the current lecture we are again discussing few other measures of dispersion, and in particular we will discuss the variance and the standard deviation, and these are the two very important measures of dispersion. So standard deviation is actually the positive square root of the variance. So and if we square the standard deviation we can get the variance. So we will also discuss coefficient of variation, which is a relative measure of spread or dispersion, which is used to compare different data sets, variations of different data sets. And then we will also discuss some of the properties of variance and standard deviations. So first we define the variance. The variance, it means the spread. So variance of a set of observations is defined as the mean of the squares of the deviations of all observations from their mean. So we need to take deviations from mean. So remember that the deviations from mean is that subtracting mean from each of the observations. So if we subtract mean from each of the observations, then this is called deviations. So in case of variance we need to take squares of the deviations. So and then we have to average the square deviations. So average mean mean. So mean of the squares of the deviations of all observations from their average value or from their mean. So usually variance is denoted by Greek lowercase sigma square. So usually this big sigma, which is also used for summation, so this is uppercase sigma, whereas this sigma is the lowercase sigma, and notation of variance is square on the sigma. So let us discuss the formulas for computing the variance for the ungrouped data. So for sample data the variance is usually denoted by S with square on it, S square, and for population data it is denoted by sigma square. So for ungrouped data the variance for sample data is S square equals summation xi minus x bar whole square divided by n, where I ranges from 1 to n. So if we look at this formula closely we can see that x bar, which is called the mean, so this x bar is being subtracted from each of the observations, from each observation x1, x2, x3 up to xn. So subtracting x bar, which is mean, from each observations, it means we are this will give us the deviation, and if we square it, so it means we are getting squared deviations, and if we take the sum of these squared deviations and then divide this sum by the total number of observations, we get the variance for sample data, and the notation is capital S with square on it, S square. So similarly if we want to calculate the variance for the population data, then it is denoted by this sigma square, and it is summation xi minus mu whole square over n. So in this case, in case of population data, instead of x bar, which is called sample mean, we have to replace this x bar with population mean, which is mu. And similarly, we have to replace this small n, which represents the total number of observations in the sample, with capital N, which is which represents the total number of observations in the population. So this is the formula for sample data, and we have also the formula for the population data, and these two formulas are for the grouped data, for ungrouped data. So now let us discuss the formula for computing the variance for the grouped data. So for sample data, the variance for grouped data is defined as S square equals summation Fi times Xi minus X bar whole square divided by summation Fi, where I ranges from 1 to n. And remember that since we are dealing with grouped data now, so Fi are the corresponding frequencies and frequencies of each class, and Xi will be the midterms. Midpoints are also called class marks. So Xi are the class marks, are the midpoints of the classes, and Fi are their corresponding frequencies. So similarly, for population data, variance is defined as sigma square equals summation Fi into Xi minus mu whole square divided by summation Fi. And note that here just only this sample mean x bar is replaced with population mean, and rest of the formula is same. So this is how we can use these formulas to calculate variance for the ungrouped data and for the grouped data. So note that the variance is in square of the units in which the observations are expressed. Since we are taking squared of the deviations taken from mean, so the unit of variance will be in squared units in which the observations are expressed. Suppose the observations are measured in rupees or meters, then the variance will be measured in squared rupees or square meter. So because of some nice mathematical properties, variance assumes an extremely important role in statistics. But mean deviation, due to absolute value of deviation, does not have nice mathematical properties, and hence the use of mean deviation is limited in literature. So now let us discuss the standard deviation. So the positive square root of variance is called standard deviation. So just taking the square root of variance and considering only the positive square root, we get standard deviation, and it is denoted by Greek lowercase sigma. So it means variance is denoted by sigma square. So taking square root of sigma square, we get only sigma, because square will be cancelled with square root. So sigma will be used to denote standard deviation in case of population data, and small s will be used and s will be used without square to denote the standard deviation for sample data, without square s for sample data, and only sigma for population data. So let us discuss the formula for computing standard deviation for ungrouped data. So for sample data, S is summation xi minus x bar whole square divided by n whole square root. So you can see that the formula is same as that of variance, only we have taken the square root of the right hand side and we have skipped this square sign from the left hand side. So s instead of s square, so s equals square root of summation xi minus x bar whole square divided by n, where I ranges from 1 to n. Similarly, in case of population data, we have to replace this sample mean x bar with population mean mu, and we have to replace this small n with capital N, which denotes the number of observations in the whole population. So next we discuss the formula for computing standard deviation in case of grouped data. So for sample data, the standard deviation S is equal to summation Fi into xi minus x bar square whole over summation Fi, and we need to take square root as well. And similarly for population data, the standard deviation is sigma equals the same formula, summation Fi into xi minus mu whole square over summation Fi, and note that this x bar is replaced with mu. And here again xi's are the midpoints or class marks of corresponding to each class, and Fi are the class frequencies, and mu and x bar, these are called the population mean and sample mean respectively. And remember that this x bar in case of sample data, this sample mean x bar is calculated by using the formula for calculating arithmetic mean in case of grouped data, which is summation fx divided by summation f. So this is all about these formulas. So note that standard deviation has the same units in which the original observations are expressed, and it is a measure of average spread of the observations around their mean. So sometimes we use an unbiased version of sample variance, which is given by S square equals summation xi minus x bar square over n minus 1, where I ranges from 1 to n. So note that here in this case the denominator, in the denominator we have n minus 1, but in case of original formula for the variance we have small n. So here n is replaced by n minus 1 on the basis of the argument that the knowledge of any n minus 1 deviations automatically determines the remaining deviations, because we know that sum of deviations must be 0. So that's why instead of dividing this sum with n, we need to divide it by n minus 1. So this is called the unbiased version of the variance. So we need to divide by n minus 1 instead of n. So but when sample size is small, so then using small n instead of n minus 1, we will the results will differ, and using this n instead of n minus 1, this will underestimate the population variance. But when sample size is very large, then whether you write n or n minus 1, it will not make a big difference. So then dividing by n or n minus 1 are they will practically lead to same results. So this is one very important point to make. But as far as our course is concerned, we will use only the simple version of the formula by using n instead of n minus 1. So we have an alternative version of the formula for the variance as well as for the standard deviations. So computation of variance for ungrouped data in case of alternative method, for sample data S square is equal to summation x square over n minus summation x over n whole square. And similarly for population data, variance is sigma square equals summation x square over capital N minus summation x over capital N whole square. And remember that this capital N is the number of observations in the population data. So similarly we can compute standard deviation. So standard deviation for sample data is S equals square root of summation x square over n minus summation x over n whole square. And similarly, the standard deviation for population data is sigma, and which is square root of the same expression. So these are the formula for the variance and standard deviation for sample data and population data. Note that these formulas have been derived from the original formula of the variance. So I am going to do some simple mathematics in order to get this alternative formula from the original formula of the variance, and then we will take square root, positive square root of the variance, and then we will get the standard deviations. So here is the formula for the variance. S square is equal to summation xi minus x bar whole square over n. So we will simplify this formula to get the alternative form. So let us see how we can do this. So write the denominator n as it is, and in the numerator just open this square. So we have xi minus x bar square. So this will be square of first plus square of second minus 2 times their product. So write summation as it is, and here we have xi square plus x bar square minus 2 times their product, 2 times xi x bar. So in next step, write this n as it is, and then we will apply this summation to each of the individual entries. So summation xi square plus summation x bar square minus 2 times summation xi x bar. So there is one very important rule of the summation, is that suppose we have summation k where k ranges from 1 to 3. So this means that we will replace this k by 1, because the lower limit of this k is 1. So then summation mean plus sign, we will put plus, and then the next range, next value of k, which is 2, and then due to summation we will put plus, and then this k goes up to 3. The maximum range is 3. So next number 3. So once we have covered this full range, it means we have written this in expanded notation. So we can write it as 3 plus 2 5 plus 1 6. So this is the key result. Similarly, if we have suppose summation 2k where k ranges from 1 to 3. So in this case we will write, replace k by 1, then summation mean plus sign, and then k by 2, then summation mean plus k by 3. So we can simplify it, 2 into 1 2, 2 to the 4, and then 2 3 6, we get total of 12. So one very important point to note is that we can write it in alternative form as, if we have summation 2k where k ranges from 1 to 3, so we can take this 2 outside summation, because 2 is constant, there is no subscript, no k involving in 2, because 2 is just constant. So just take the constant outside. So we are left with only summation k, which k ranges from 1 to 3. And next we can see that if we replace k by 1, then k by 2, then k by 3, so we get 2 into 6, which is 12. So here the result is same. So it means if there is constant inside the summation, you can take it outside the summation. So another rule which is very important to note is, suppose we have summation 2 where k again ranges from 1 to 3. So now you can see that here there is no k, we have just constant number 2. So when k is 1, we will get the same number 2, summation mean plus. When k is 2, So again there is no k, so we will again write the same number, and when k is 3 we will get again the same number. So we can write it as 3 times 2, so or in other words 6. So this is important to note. So here we have the constant 2 and the range of summation is 3, so it means this range times this 2. Now instead of this range 3, suppose we have k equals to 1 to 10 and we have the same number 2, then we can see that this same 2 number will be summed 10 times, or in other words we will write it as 10 times 2, or which is 20. So if we have summation 2 where k ranges from 1 to n, so this will be 2 plus 2 so on n times 2, or in other words we will write it as n times 2 or 2n. So similarly here in this case we will write this x bar is a constant. So summation applied to x bar square mean this will be n times x bar square. So because x bar is constant, so in next step we can simplify it as this n as it is, this summation xi square as it is. So here we will have n x bar square minus this 2 is constant, can be taken outside, the summation already taken outside. X bar is also constant, so which can also be taken outside the summation, and summation will be only applied to xi. So summation xi. So in next step write this n as it is, this summation xi square as it is, this n x bar as it is, minus 2 x bar as it is, and this summation xi. So now divide this summation xi by n, and in order to balance it multiply this product with n. So divide and multiply with n. Why I did this? Because this summation xi our n is x bar, so which will help in simplifying this expression. So this n as it is, summation xi square as it is, plus nx bar minus 2x bar and this n, so 2n x bar, and this is, we know that it is x bar, summation x over n. So here we have x bar, this x bar one time and this one time, so x bar square. So 2n x bar into x bar x square, so 2n x bar square. So now you can see that as far as this second term is concerned, we have nx bars. So nx bar square minus 2nx bar square. So 1 nx bar minus 2 nx bar, 1 times nx bar square minus 2 times nx bar square, we get minus 1 times nx bar square. So next step, this n as it is, summation xi square minus nx bar square. So writing this, dividing each of these terms in the numerator with this n, so we get summation xi square our n minus nx bar square our n. So this n will be cancelled with this, so we are left with summation xi bar square our n minus x bar square, and writing the first term as it is, xi square our n, and writing this x bar, replacing it with its original value which is summation xi over n. Since we have square on it, so this is square, so this is the alternative formula for the variance. So if we take square root on both sides, we can get the formula for the standard deviation. So this is how we can derive the formula of alternative form from the original formula. So similarly, we have alternative formulas for the grouped data as well. So computation of variance for grouped data. So for sample data, S square is equal to summation f times x square whole over summation f minus summation fx over summation f whole square. And similarly for population data, we have sigma square is equal to the same formula. And similarly, the formula for the standard deviations can be obtained by taking the positive square root of the formula of the variance. So these are the alternative formulas. So we can use either version in order to calculate variance and the standard deviation. So let us take examples of calculating variance and the standard deviations. So consider the marks obtained by 9 students, so 45, 32, 37 and so on 36. So question is calculate variance and standard deviation. So I have created a column labeled X, where X contains marks of 9 students 45, 32 up to 36. So next note that the formula for variance is S square is equal to summation xi minus x bar whole square over n. So it means first we need to calculate this x bar. So here this x bar is calculated as, so mean is x bar, which is summation x over n. So add up all these values in column x. So this summation x is 360 in this case, divided by n. N is the total number of observation, which is 9. So 360 divided by 9, we get 40. So 40 is our x bar or sample mean. So in order to calculate this variance, which is S square, we have to subtract this x bar or sample mean from each of the x values. So here construct another column. So x minus x bar. So x is 45, the first value of x, and x bar is 40. So we can calculate it as 45 minus 40. So we get 5. Similarly here, x is 32, x bar is 40. So we get minus 8 and so on. So there is one very important property, that this sum of deviations taken from mean, this must be 0, and here it is 0. So if it is different from 0, it means you did certain type of mistake, you need to cross check your calculations. So now once we have this x minus x bar in hand, next step is to calculate square of it, x minus x bar square. So in the next column I have calculated x minus x bar square. So square of 5, which is 25. So here, and then square of minus 8, which is plus 64, square of minus 3 plus 9 and so on. So in the end, this last number 232, it is the summation or sum of all these squared deviations. So 232, so just replace this value here in this formula. In the numerator we get 232 divided by 9, which is n. So we get 25.77. So this is the variance or spread. So in order to calculate standard deviation, remember that standard deviation is the positive square root of the variance. So if we take square root of this 25.77, we get 5.077. So this is the standard deviation. So this is how we can calculate variance and standard deviation for the ungrouped data. So next we discuss example of calculating variance and standard deviations for the grouped data. So here example states that calculate variance and standard deviation for the following frequency distribution, and where we have the frequency distribution of the weights of the students. So weights in grams are provided in column 1, and their corresponding frequencies they are provided in next column. So from this frequency table we can see that there are 9 students having weight from 65 grams to 84 grams, and there are 10 students having weight from 85 grams to 104 grams, and so on. So this is the frequency distribution we are interested in calculating the variance and standard deviation. So in order to calculate the variance, note that the variance is, in case of grouped data, it is summation fi into xi minus x bar whole square over summation fi, where I ranges from 1 to n. So in order to calculate this formula, note that here x bar is, in case of group data, it is summation fx over summation f, where f is the frequency and x's are the midpoints. So here the first two columns, they are our main frequency distribution. So first we need to calculate x, which is class mark or the midpoint, and we know that it is calculated by adding the lower limit with the upper limit. So 65 plus 84, and then dividing this sum by 2, so we get 74.5. So once we have the x column in hand, so next step is to calculate f times x. So multiply this f with x, so 9 times 74.5, we get 670.5, and so on. In the end, find summation fx, which is sum of all the values in this column, so it is 73.50, and next find summation f, which is 60 in this case, sum of all the frequencies. So once we have summation fx and summation f, we can calculate the x bar by using this formula. So x bar is summation fx over summation f. So summation fx is 7350 divided by 60, we get 122.5, and the unit is grams. So average weight is 122.5 grams. So once we have this x bar in hand, so now we need to take deviations. So we need to subtract this x bar from each of x values, where x's are the midpoints. So next, construct a new column which is the deviations. So x minus x bar, remember that x bar is 122.5, so x is, first value of x is 74.5, so 74.5 minus 122.5, we get minus 48. Similarly 94.5 minus 122.5, we get minus 28. So here these are called the deviations. So in the formula of variance, note that this is summation fi into xi minus x bar whole square divided by summation fi. So we need to take square of the deviations. So construct a new column, x minus x bar with square on it. So minus 48 square, we get 2304, minus square we get 784, minus 8 square we get 64, and so on. And in the end we need to multiply this frequency with the square deviation. So construct a new column labeled as f times the square deviations x minus x bar whole square. So f is 9, so multiply 9 with this first square deviation, which is 2304, so we get 20736, and so on. So once we have this column in hand, so next step is to calculate this summation fi times xi minus x bar square. So it means we need to take sum of the values in this column. So this is 72960, this is summation f into x minus x bar square. So once we have this value, and next we need to calculate this summation fi, which is already calculated to be 60 summation fi. So once we have these two numbers in hand, we can use this formula to calculate variance, which is 72960 divided by 60. So it is 1216. And in order to calculate standard deviation, just take the square root of 1216. So standard deviation is the square root of 1216, which is 34.87. So this is how we can calculate variance and standard deviation for the grouped data. So next we discuss how we can use alternative formula for calculating variance and standard deviation for grouped data as well as for the ungrouped data. So here is the data of marks obtained by 9 students in an examination. So I have labeled the marks as X. So first student got 45 marks, second 32, and so on. And we are interested in calculating standard deviation. And remember that the formula for calculating standard deviation is for variance is S square is equal to summation x square over n minus summation x over n whole square. And in case of standard deviation, we need to take square root of both sides. So it will be S equals to square root of this whole expression. So from this formula you can see that we need this summation x square. So it means we need next column which is the square of x or x square. So here is the next column which is the x square of x. So x square. So 45 square we get 2025, 32 square 1024, and so on. So once we have the new column x square, so look at the formula of the variance. You can see that we need summation x. It means sum of all x values and summation x square, and sum of the values which are given in a column labeled as x square. And the next number which we need is n, where n is the total number of observations. So we need to calculate the total of x, which is summation x, and total of summation x square, which is summation x square. So here we have this number is summation x, and there we get summation x square. So once we have these formulas in hand, we can calculate variance, which is summation x square. It is 14632 divided by n, which is 9, minus summation x over n whole square. So summation x is 360 over 9 whole square. So after simplifying it, we get this 25.77. So this is the variance. So in order to calculate standard deviation, just take the positive square root of this 25.77. So next we discuss an example of calculating a variance and standard deviation for the grouped data using the alternative method. So here is the same frequency distribution of weights of different students. So we are interested in calculating variance and standard deviation for this data. So here variance is S square is equal to summation fx square over summation f minus summation fx over summation f whole square. So look at this formula. X is the midpoint and f is the frequency. So it means first we need to calculate the midpoint x. So here the third column is the midpoint, and in next column we multiplied this f with x. So 9 times 74.5, and we will sum it to this fourth column to get summation fx, which we need here. So we will sum this column to get this number summation fx, and here we have summation f already calculated, which is 60. So it means in next we need to construct few more columns. One is x square, and then we have to multiply this frequency with square of x. So construct a new column, x square, which is square of the midpoint. So 74.5 square we get 550.25 and so on, and then multiply this frequency with x square to get f times x square. So, and in the end we need to take this sum, which is summation fx square. So just replace the values summation fx square divided by summation f minus summation fx our summation f whole square to get the variance. So in this case the variance is again 1216. So this is summation f, here we have summation fx, here it is summation fx square. So the formula for variance is, it is summation fx square our summation f minus summation fx our summation f whole square. So just replace the values, summation fx square, it is 9733335 divided by summation f, which is 60, minus summation fx, which is 7350, our summation f, which is 60 whole square. So after simplifying it you will get 1216. So remember that this is the same result which was obtained earlier using the main original formula of the variance. So if we take positive square root of this number 1216, we can get standard deviation. So next we discuss Chebyshev's rule. It is a link between standard deviation and fraction of data which is included in intervals constructed around the mean. And this rule is suggested by a Russian mathematician P.L. Chebyshev. So that's why it is called Chebyshev's rule. So for any data set, the interval x bar minus k times s and x bar plus k times x. So where k is any number greater than 1, x bar is the arithmetic mean, s is the standard deviation, and if we construct this interval, that is multiplying the standard deviation with certain constant number k which is greater than 1 and then subtracting this product from the mean, we get the lower limit of the interval, and if we add this ks to the mean we get upper limit of the interval. So this interval x bar minus ks and x bar plus ks, it contains at least the fraction 1 minus 1 over k square of the data. So here let us take an example. So suppose we have interval x bar minus 2s and x bar plus 2s. So here from this case we can see that this k is 2 here in this case. So this interval will contain at least 1 minus 1 over k square, where k is 2. So 1 minus 1 over 2 square. So 1 minus 1 over 2 square is 4. So 1 minus 1 by 4 mean 3 by 4 of the data. So 3 by 4 mean 75% of the data. So in order to explain it further, so suppose we have arithmetic mean x bar here and we have certain number as the standard deviation. So we need to multiply that standard deviation with 2. Suppose mean is 50 and suppose this standard deviation is 5. So 5 times 2 we will get 10. So it means x bar minus 2 times s. So x bar minus 2 times 5. So x bar minus 10 and x bar plus 10. So x bar is 50. So 50 minus 10 we get 40 and 50 plus 10 we get 60. So this interval, according to Chebyshev's rule, it should cover 75% of the data points. So 75% of the data values must lie between 40 and 60. So similarly, if we construct interval by multiplying the standard deviation with 3, so then it will contain at least 1 minus 1 over k square. So k is 3 in this case, so it will be 1 minus 1 over 9, or simplifying it further, we get 8 by 9 of the data. So in this case, if again x bar is same 50 and s is 5, so 50 minus 3 times 5, which is 15. So 50 minus 15 and 50 plus 15. So 50 minus 15, we get 35 as the lower limit, and 50 plus 15, 65 as the upper limit. So you can see that this interval it is comparatively wider. Why? Because this s is being multiplied with the bigger number. So it will contain 8 over 9% of the data. So this is called Chebyshev's rule. So note that this rule can be applied to any distribution, and whether the data is population data or the data is sample data. So it gives us a simple rule about the dispersion of the data around the mean value, that how much data will be dispersed within given limits. Next we discuss coefficient of variation. So variability of two or more than two data sets cannot be compared unless we have a relative measure of dispersion. So for this purpose, Karl Pearson introduced a relative measure of variation or relative measure of dispersion, which is known as coefficient of variation, or usually called CV, and it is defined as coefficient of variation for sample data is S, which is standard deviation divided by x bar times 100. So similarly for population data, we will use this sigma, which is standard deviation of population data, divided by mu, which is mean of the population data, multiplied with 100. So remember, note that this CV, or coefficient of variation, it is ratio, so it is a dimensionless number, and it is a pure number, and it has no unit or no dimension. And further note that larger value of coefficient of variance indicates larger variability, while a small value of coefficient of variance variation is an evidence of less variability. So we can use coefficient of variation to compare the performance of two individuals, two candidates, or two players, or we can have certain other members. So we can compare the performance of two individuals in various situations. For example, the performance of different candidates in the exam, or performance of different players in different games. So the smaller the value of coefficient of variation, the more consistent the player or the individual will be. So note that when mean is very small, then coefficient of variation is unreliable. Why? Because coefficient of variation is s over x bar into 100. So s over x bar into 100. So when this x bar is very small, so this s is being divided by this x bar. So if we divide a number by a very small number, we can get a very high number. So if this x bar is very small, then this coefficient of variation is unreliable. So let us take an example which compares the goals scored by two teams, team A and team B. So here is the data. So team A in first match 27 goals, second 9, 8, 5, 4. Similarly, team B 17, 9, 6, 5, 3. So question is, by calculating coefficient of variation, find which team is more consistent. So here is the data. We have team A and team B. So first calculate their arithmetic mean. Arithmetic mean is summation x over n. So for team A, arithmetic mean is 10.6, and for team B it is calculated to be 8. And then calculate standard deviation by using short formula or by using the original formula in deviation form. So it is summation x square over n minus summation x over n whole square and then whole under root. So it means you need to calculate x square and then divide by n. So calculate standard deviation for, so if I label it as x, so construct a new column x square, which will be 27 square, 9 square, 8 square. So here we can get summation x square. So here we can add all these values to get summation x, and then we can find standard deviation for the team A. Similarly, for team B, we can label it as y and y square, and we can calculate standard deviation for team B as well. So in case of team B, the formula will be, since I have changed the notation to y, so just change this formula, adjust this formula by replacing x with y. So the standard deviation for team A is calculated to be 8.40, and for team B it is calculated as 4.89. So next, in order to calculate coefficient of variation, so just divide standard deviation with the arithmetic mean or x bar and multiply this fraction with 100. So 8.40 divided by 10.6 multiplied with 100, we get coefficient of variation, which is 79.30%, and in case of team B, the coefficient of variation is calculated to be 61.20%. So from the coefficient of variation, we can see that the coefficient of variation of team A, which is 79.3, it is larger than the coefficient of variation of team B, which is 61.20. So it means the team having less coefficient of variation is more consistent. Hence we can say that team B is more consistent than team A. So this is how we can use coefficient of variation to compare two data sets. We can use same coefficient of variation to compare more than two data sets. So it means we can compare the variability of the two or more data sets by using coefficient of variation. So next we discuss properties of variance and standard deviation. So first we discuss properties of the variance. So some of the useful properties of variance are provided here. So first one is that variance of a constant is always equal to 0. So symbolically we can write it as variance of VAR of A. Variance is usually denoted by VAR as well. So var of A equals 0 where A is any constant. So similarly, for example, so variance of 2 is 0 or variance of 7 is 0, or if we have one data set ungrouped data X having same entries 2, 2, 2, so then in this case the variance S square will be 0. Why? Because this is quite obvious, because you can see that there all the numbers are exactly same and there is no change or no variation among the numbers. So variance of a constant number is always 0. Similarly, the standard deviation of a constant number will also be 0. Next property is that variance is independent of the origin. So that is, it remains unchanged when a constant is added to or subtracted from each observation of the variable x. Or symbolically, we can write it as variance of x plus a is equal to variance of x, or variance of x minus a equals variance of x, where a is any constant. So in order to explain it, suppose we have this variable x here containing several values, suppose 2, 3, 4, and if we calculate its variance and then we add certain constant to each of x entries. So 2 plus 10, 12, 3 plus 10, 13, 4 plus 10, 14. So the variance of this data set and this data set will always be same. So it means adding constant to each of the observations will not affect the variance. Similarly, if we subtract any constant, in order to suppose we subtract 10 from each number, so 2 minus 10 minus 8, 3 minus 10 we get minus 7, 4 minus 10 we get minus 6. So variance of this will be same as variance of x, which will be same as variance of x plus 10. So it means by adding a constant number to variable or subtracting a constant number to variable, the variance will not be affected. Or in other words, we can say that variance is independent of origin. So origin means, shifting the origin means we are adding something or we are subtracting something. So next is, the variance is multiplied or divided by the square of the constant when each observation of the variable x is either multiplied or divided by a constant. So symbolically, variance of a times x is equal to a square times variance x, or variance of x divided by a equals 1 over a square times variance of x. So here in first case, a is being multiplied with x, so we can take square of a and times variance of x, and similarly in the second case a is being divided by x, so variance of x divided by a, where a is constant number, it is equal to 1 over a square times variance of x. So if a constant is multiplied with variable, so then the variance of a times x will be a square times variance x. Or if we have variance of 2x, so it will be 4 times variance of x. Why? Because this constant is taken outside and it will be in squared unit, so squared form. So 2 square is 4. So I have used V for variance. So you can use VAR or only V as well. So next property is, if we have two independent variables x and y, so the variance of sum or difference of two independent variables is equal to sum of their respective variances. So suppose we have two variables x and y, so then the variance of their sum, so variance of x plus y is, it will be variance of first variable plus the variance of second random variable. And if we have to find the variance of difference, variance x minus y, so it will be variance x plus variance of y. So remember that here we have the plus sign in both cases, whether the variables are being added or they are being subtracted. And these two formulas, they are valid only when x and y are independent. Independent means there is no link between the two. So one is independent of the other. But if x and y are dependent, so then we need to add the covariance factor as well. So variance of sum of two random variables will be variance of first x plus variance of y plus 2 times their covariance of x and y. And similarly in case of variance x minus y, we will have this last term minus 2 times covariance of xy. So now we discuss the properties of standard deviation. So since standard deviation is the positive square root of variance, so all the properties of variance, they are valid for standard deviation as well. So I am briefly explaining all of them. So standard deviation of a constant is 0. So SD of A is 0, where A is any constant, and it is independent of change of origin. So standard deviation of x plus a is same as standard deviation of x, and standard deviation of x minus a is same as standard deviation of x, where a is any constant. And if a is multiplied with x, so standard deviation of a times x is absolute value of a times standard deviation of x. So note that I have used here the absolute value of a. Why? Because standard deviation cannot be negative, so we need the positive value of this constant here. So similarly, standard deviation of x over a is 1 over a times standard deviation of x. In order to explain these two results, suppose we have standard deviation of 2 times x. So this will be 2 times standard deviation of x. But if we have a negative number here, so standard deviation of minus 2 times x. So remember that standard deviation can never be negative like variance. So this will be again the absolute value of minus 2 times standard deviation of x, and we can write it as 2 times standard deviation of x. So it means even if this constant is a negative number, so we will write it in positive form. And if x and y are independent, then standard deviation of their sum or their difference is square root of variance x plus variance y. So in order to explain this formula, we know that variance of sum is, if x and y are independent, then variance of their sum is the sum of their respective variances. So if we take square root on both sides, so this square root of variance, we can write it as standard deviation. So right side as it is. So this is the same formula which is written here. Similarly, if we have here minus sign instead of positive, so this will remain same plus sign. So if we take square root, we will get minus here. So these are some of the useful properties of variance and the standard deviation. So let us take a review of today's lecture. So in today's lecture, we discussed certain additional measures of dispersion. In particular, we discussed variance and the standard deviation, and then we discussed how we can compare to a variation between 2 or more than 2 data sets by using relative measure of dispersion, which is coefficient of variation. And then we have discussed some of the useful properties of variance and standard deviation. So in next lecture, we will discuss one very important concept, which is concept of moments, and we will discuss in particular moments about mean, which are also called central moments, and then moments about any arbitrary origin, and then moments about zero, and then we will also do related Excel demos as well. And we will also discuss the relationship between central moments and the moments about origin. And in the later half of the lecture, we will also discuss the concept of relationship between central moments and the moments about origin. And then we will also discuss moment ratios, and in particular we will discuss skewness and kurtosis measures as well. So till then, Allah Hafiz.